Theatres present Tell Tales, a series of monologues written and performed by members of the Apollo Theatre Company. Celebrity, written by Inga Holder and directed by Chris Hicks.
I've lived here all my life. I was born right here, in the bedroom upstairs, right in the middle of the village, close to the shop. It was Doris that owned the corner shop years ago. It was just a grocer's in them days, and when she retired, Margaret, her daughter, took over. The post office was the first to close in the village, and Dave, Margaret's son, decided they should take it on and run it inside their shop. There wasn't enough room, so they bought the house next door and knocked through. Next, the newsagent shut, so they started selling papers and magazines as well. And finally, the bank went too. So Dave got one of them machines put in the back. You know, whatchamacallit. Ah, that's right, one of them ATMs to get money out. A bit like a fruit machine that always pays out, if you know what I mean. A hole in the wall, Kyle calls it. Oh, this is Kyle, he's my grandson. He's helping me with the interviews now I'm famous. Super Nan, they call me, on TV and in the papers. I have to do interviews and that. Kyle brought his laptop round. He asked if I had Wi-Fi. Why what? Never mind, he said. I'll sort summat out. I can probably borrow next door's. He tells me you can do that in a terraced house if next door's not secure. He said he'd hack it if he had to. Sounded a bit savage to me. But he found this little black box near the front window, and he said, sorted. He was turning it over to read the label on the back, and I craned me neck to look over his shoulder. Oh, I said, that nice young man from BT put that in a couple of years ago. I thought it was something to do with the telephone. Kyle says, leave it all to him. He knows what he's doing. He can be my management agent. There's money to be made out of this, he says. He thinks they might even ask me to do I'm a Celebrity. That's where the real money is, he tells me. I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't already spending the money in advance. I'm a Celebrity. Isn't that where they have to eat creepy crawlies? I'm not sure I fancy that much. They really would have to fork out for me to do that. It all started when the video went viral. Well, I suppose the fame did. For me, it all started before. It was just an ordinary day. I'd gone to the post office to collect me pension and buy it in a Peaches. I like to treat myself on the day that I collect me money. I was just stood there chatting to Dave, as you do, when this bloke barges into the shop. He was wearing one of them motorcycle helmets, so you couldn't see his face. Suddenly he shoved me out of the way and pulled a gun out of his jacket pocket. Dave went all white about the gills and put up his hands. It's a stick-up. Me? I was fuming. Elbowing me out of the way without a by your leave, scaring poor Dave out of his wits. So I just swung me string bag as hard as I could and whacked him over the head with it. His helmet gave an almighty crash and he went down like a sack of potatoes. It was a tin of peaches, you see. Turns out it was quite a weapon. So then I jumped on the crook and sat on his chest while Dave rang the police. He said, there's a robbery in progress, and you could see that he was still shaken. His voice had got all squeaky and wobbly. The police turned up pretty smartish, I must say, sirens wailing and all. Ooh, 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 ooh. One of the other customers videoed the whole thing on her mobile. Next thing I know, she's put it out on social media. Well, somebody made me sit on a chair and they gave me a mug of tea. And then they gave Dave one as well. And I said, Dave, you sit down. You need it more than me. Police said I ought to get a medal. Turns out the gun was only a starting pistol. It looked real enough to me, I said. If I'd known it was just a starting pistol, I'd have started sprinting. All and sundry want an interview now. First, I got a reporter from the local rag. She was quite complimentary. Proud to have a hero in our midst, she said. She wanted to know all about it. Weren't you scared? I don't have no fear when I'm roused, I said. And are you enjoying your 5 minutes of fame? 5 minutes? I thought everyone was allowed 15 minutes of fame. She looked puzzled. These youngsters, they don't know nothing. Andy Warhol, I said. Andy Warhol? No, still blank. Never mind, I say. And no, I'm not particularly enjoying this fame. It's all a bit of fuss over nothing. Tell you what, though, Kyle's enjoying it. He told me the foreign media were interested and they wanted to do interviews. He set it all up. He said, "Don't you want to put on a nice frock and brush your hair first?" What for? Well, you'll be on screen, seen by millions. Don't you want to look your best? They can take me as I am. Take it or leave it. Kyle rolled his eyes and shrugged his shoulders. The first interview was with Channel 40 in New Zealand. Fancy, the story's gone right round the world. Well, they asked me pretty much the same questions as the girl from the local paper, only I had a bit of trouble understanding 'em. They muddle up all their vowels, you see. Oh, the Americans are worse, though. They don't know how to pronounce anything at all. This chap appears on the screen. "Good evening," he says. "Is this Mrs. Featherstone Haw?" "Fanshawe," I said. "Oh, could I speak to Mrs. Featherstone Haw, please?" "Fanshawe," I repeated. "That's how it's pronounced. Fanshawe." "Oh, I do apologize, Mrs. Fanshawe." And then he goes on. "So, you live in Cat's Bottom in Norfolk. That's a funny name. Not half as funny or as rude as some of them round here, I can tell you. And it's not Norfolk. It's Norfolk. Fuck. Oh, Kyle's fairly wetting himself. I don't know if they'll use that interview. Me and the American, we didn't seem to be on the same wavelength. I was on the local news last night. ITV came round with all their gear. They took over the old sitting room. Suddenly, everybody wants to know me. Everybody wants to speak to me. That phone hasn't stopped. Red hot it is. "Kyle," I say, "you answer it. You're me manager. I've decided I'm too much of a celebrity now to bother with the hoy poly. I think I might go and stay with me sister in Bicester for a bit, until all this fuss dies down."